Hi, I'm James, Head of Horticulture at Frost Garden Centre. Today we're going to talk about creating a cottage garden. We're going to talk about a cottage garden look, give you hints and tips on putting in different types of plants, colours, colour schemes with evergreens, and I'll give you some demonstrations later on. So I've just grabbed some plants just to give you some ideas. There's no rules in the garden, it's your garden. So basically I'm just going to run through different colours, themes, evergreens, perennials, and just give you, little examples and explain what's going on here. So basically we've got different types of colours here. So you've got from your foxglove, which is really good for the bees because they like the tube effect. They go inside the flower, pollinate. These are fantastic. They self-seed. So once the flower's finished, let it dry out and then you can spread the seeds and that'll give you more. Also you've got some really nice salvia, caryopteris, which again, these are perennials, and it just started to build and layer it in the garden, starting to theme it. So we've got some evergreens here. Reason why we put evergreens in is because once the perennials are finished, then you've got permanent features in the garden all through the season, and then we can just make sure to change it through the season. You've got a physocarpus, which is an amazing colour leaf, which goes lovely with the yellow and the blue sort of purpley hebe. This is deciduous, so that means it loses its leaves in the winter, but then you'll have a really beautiful woody stem through the season. And then also, we've got Verbena lollipop, which is the dwarf version of the Bonariensis. This attracts butterflies. And then again, you've got some alliums, which this is the mini version. It's a dwarf, and you have lots of the ball heads all coming through. And then again, we've got another evergreen, which is a pittosporum, which is a chocolate colour, and it changes colour through the seasons, goes from a chocolate to a green. And then, like I said to you about no rules, you can even put grasses in with your herbaceous. It doesn't matter where you do it. It all goes. It's your garden. It's your theme. So you can see already how the colours and the different textures are giving you that relaxation in the garden, that calmness. It's really important. It's another room. You want to create that nice environment where you sit out there with a cup of tea, a coffee, watching the birds, the insects, the bees. And just when it's windy and that nice sound of the grass. And also important, you want touch. So you can touch the grass, you can touch the nice smooth allium, and then the pittosporum. It's really lovely. And then again, I've got a nice purple salvia, just to hit the purple with the dark chocolate, with the light. Can you see that I'm going through from dark to light, light again, a little bit darker orange. Orange, yellows, purples go really well. It's a really good theme. So just a few more hints and tips for you and questions for when you're thinking about designing your own garden. It's really important that you look at your house style, whether it's contemporary, cottage, even the colour of the house, whether it's white, brick, because the reason why I ask these questions for my customers is that you want to make sure the plants complement the house and the house complements the plants. It's really important. Also, you want to check where the sun is shining, whether it's south facing, southwest, if it's a shady garden. Also, you want to look at different types of plants through the season and leave gaps. So when it becomes like the autumn, you can come back to the garden centre and we'll advise you on putting other plants, because the reason why we do this is that you don't want to have all or nothing through the months of the year. So for example, once the perennials start to finish, once the weather gets a bit more nasty, gets colder, you'll come back in the autumn and then you'll have some different types of herbaceous or evergreen shrubs. But remember, these will come back. So if you can't remember where they are, I recommend putting some labels, tags. So in your cottage garden, I'm just going to recommend a few perennials. So definitely foxgloves, different types of verbena, which is here. That's, remember, is the short version. You've got the Bonariensis, which gets about as tall as me. They really do attract butterflies. Different types of salvias, also delphiniums, lupins, geums, fantastic, different colours from reds to oranges. And then remember evergreens as well. So Hebes are really good, Choicea, Pittosporums, Ceanothus, that's the purpley blue flower, and that will just give you permanent structure through the garden, and it'll create a really cottage feel through the year in your garden. And you know, like I said, remember touch is important, smell, also pick scented plants as well. Roses are really important. You know, you want to put some roses within in the garden. Again, when I said to you there's no rules, there's not about making a structural area. If you want to have it different shapes, heights, or higher at the back, tearing it down, or having a feature plant, you know, it's your garden. Make it your own haven. It's important that you sit in the garden, enjoy the wildlife and relax. Scent is the next one we want to talk about. Just creating that real nice haven, that smell when you're in your garden, sitting in there. So for example, roses is a classic, can't go wrong. Gertrude Jekyll, Harlow Carr, fantastic roses, really good. Also lavender, you get, you know, bees, so you've got the best of both for the scent and the bees. Even foxglove's got a slight scent. Also Philadelphus, which is a woody shrub, is an amazing scent. There are some double flowering ones and some single flowers. You can even, again, remember what I was saying about, you know, there's no rules in the garden. You can put some bedding in there, so things like Wisney Vanilla, Nemesia, which smells of ice cream. Lots of different Nemesias, which you can just put little pockets in there, just to give you that little bit of scent and that little bit of fragrance. And then also, remember, we're talking about your beds, but we want to remember the backing, like where your fences, your walls. You want to create that green haven as well on the back fence. So things like Trachyspernum, which again is scented, has an amazing white flower in the summer. It changes colour through the season, which is evergreen, so it goes green to red. If you've got a shady corner, you can put a Hydrangea Pichularis in there, which has a lovely white flower. You can also put in lots of honeysuckle. We all know that they're really scented. So we're just going to talk about colour schemes, just to help you choose different colour schemes towards the house, or you know, even your patio style to your fence colour. So what go well are things like your purples, your blues, your silvers, your whites, and then looking at your pinks, your whites again. And then a really sort of wacky colour is your yellows, oranges and purples. They look amazing together from the dark to the light. And then also remember your yellows, reds, oranges and whites. Again, just pick different themes for your colour, you know, garden. Now we're going to look at the structure of your garden. So things you need to look at are things like your pyramid buxus, round balls of the buxus family, even grasses. You get some really tall grasses which will just give you that structure, that height. Even certain perennials like Verbena bonariensis, they get to my height, they can be at the back of the garden. You can pick some bigger evergreens as well. Choicea tenata, which is the green one, has a white flower in the spring, smells of almonds. You've got different types of ceanothus, which from low growing to high, and just, you know, pick where you put them. You know, obviously don't put them at the front because you're going to hide all what's behind it, but there's no harm in putting them either some in the middle or on an end or on the back, and just, you know, watch your border develop and just watch it build. You know, you might want to think about things like arbours, arches. You know, you can place an arbour in amongst the cottage garden, so you're sitting in there and you've got all the flowers around you. Again, you can look at an arch, you can have a climbing rose. Generous Gardener is one I recommend, which is fantastic. Good scent, it grows in half sun, half shade. And also, you know, it's a nice walkthrough. You can create another room. You can use it as a divide as well. So you go into one room and then step into another. So what is a cottage garden? It's basically, you know, your journey that you're creating, that you're building. It's about touch, just walking through the journey, creating that, like I said, about the arches and the seating, and you know, you've got like a little secret garden where you're going into the back of the garden and you've got a secret little seating area, and it's about wildlife, you know, bees and butterflies. Also, you know, like I said, it's about touch, feel, scent, massive colour. That's a cottage garden. It's about wow factor. Loads and loads and loads of colour. That's what you want to create a perfect cottage garden, is colour. Thanks for watching. Hope we've inspired you with some hints and tips. Remember, if you want any help, just come down and see our experts at Frost Garden Centres.